Good evening, fans. Tim Kitzrow here, the voice of NBA Jam, and you're listening to the Game Dev Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by CodeWritePlay.com. Whoa, boom shakalaka!
My mom gave birth in 1985. I was bluer than a Pac-Man ghost, barely alive. In the Cold War, my only blanket was Tetris. I played Rampart with Reagan, rampaged the world for breakfast. The laundromat was my sanctuary, the arcade was my church.
Hey everybody, Todd Mitchell again. Welcome back to Game Dev Breakdown. It is just me here in the studio this time, and you might think of this as like a news show, kind of like we used to do more in the past. There's plenty going on in the industry and things to talk about, so let's discuss. Let's talk about GDC. The Game Developers Conference was scheduled to be held in San Francisco from March 16th to the 20th. That has been postponed. We'll talk about why. If you've never been to GDC and you've never looked into it, it's basically the pinnacle of game industry events. Certainly for the people who actually make games. Gamers love to go to Penny Arcade Expo. Journalists and publishers get a lot out of the E3 experience, but most people agree nothing is as uniquely tailored to developers as GDC. There are big keynote speeches, people at the lower levels get to do talks and presentations, developers get to do demos, they make their own announcements, people meet about things, you name it, everything goes down at GDC. I did a trip to GDC 2018 2 years ago as a partnership with Microsoft for the podcast. I got to hang out with the executive business folks in the expo area, and I interviewed Microsoft's guests for the podcast. That was a really unique and cool experience. It wasn't perfect. There were some crazy twists and turns to that trip, but those shows are still up here on the podcast, so you can go back if you're interested and hear those. But also this month's Patreon exclusive episode is going up here at the same time this episode goes out, and I'm going to do a never before heard post-mortem on that trip. And that's going to be wild. There were some details to that story I think would surprise you. So patrons, look for that episode over at patreon.com/CodeWritePlay. Anyway, so we've established that GDC is the big show. Many thousands of people, hundreds of major companies, and over time, indie developers have sort of made it their goal to get themselves to GDC so they can do big business too. Unfortunately, this year, we had the coronavirus to contend with. Since coronavirus disease 2019, abbreviated COVID-19, was first detected in Wuhan City, according to the CDC, COVID-19 has been detected in 57 locations internationally, including the United States. There have been more than 82,000 cases worldwide as of Friday, according to statnews.com. California not only has a significant portion of the United States' confirmed cases, but California is also showing signs of community transmission, meaning that people are starting to show up positive for the virus with an unknown source, other than it's just spreading in California. So in the weeks leading to GDC, major companies started dropping out like flies. And that includes Sony, Facebook, Kojima Productions, Unity, Amazon, Epic. In the case of Unity, they're headquartered right down the street. I went to a meeting there in 2018 and I was surprised how close it was. But that's just to show how seriously they take this. Finally, word broke out that GDC was being indefinitely postponed. This comes from their website. After close consultation with our partners in the game development industry and community around the world, we've made the difficult decision to postpone the Game Developers Conference this March. This is at gdconf.com. Having spent the past year preparing for the show with our advisory boards, speakers, exhibitors, and event partners, we're genuinely upset and disappointed not to be able to host you at this time. So the FAQ page provides more answers to some of the stickier questions. They promise that the conference and expo attendees will receive refunds in full, so that's nice. Individuals who reserved hotel rooms inside the GDC block will not have to pay penalties to cancel. That's good. And speakers have been invited to submit their talks in video format for distribution on the GDC Vault site. And this is kind of the worst part. A lot of people in the creative trenches were going to speak for the first time this year, maybe not for the first time, but they deserve a chance to show off what they do, talk to people. get some credit for their hard work. And now they're, at least not getting to do it for now. So far, we're only hoping this is going to happen in the summer. There's really no guarantee, what or if right now. So I've encouraged some of these people, get yourself started on YouTube. Come talk to people on the podcast. Like, I would support anything for these people because they deserve that. But it's nice and tidy for most people. But the community has raised some concerns about the growing portion of indies who make big sacrifices to go to GDC and try to do business alongside the rest of the industry. Fortunately, several organizations are stepping up to try to alleviate the burden. While many expenses should be refundable, just like we talked about a moment ago, it's true that some developers are going to have some unrecoverable expenses. A recent press release announced the GDC Relief Fund from a group of organizations that includes Wings Interactive, GameDev.World, Landfall Games, Raw Fury, Modern Wolf, and the Games and Online Harassment Hotline. These groups are all worth reading about and investigating individually because they all do pretty interesting stuff. But this is at wingsfund.me/GDC Relief. It says, to help alleviate the burden, New Games label Wings Interactive have teamed up with all those partners I just mentioned to create the GDC Relief Fund. The fund has already raised $35,000 US and is open to all indie developers around the world. Supported developers will be selected according to the estimated impact of the postponing on their organizations and the financial hardship they are experiencing. They're invited to apply via the GDC Relief Fund website starting Monday, the 2nd of March at wingsfund.me/GDC Relief. So that's very cool. They're raising funds to try to offset that burden, which is nice. So GameDev.World has gone one step further to hopefully introduce some fun and positivity into the mix as well, and give people a way to help other than just monetarily. GameDev.World holds an online game developers conference each summer, and they've stepped up to run their own relief efforts. Their site says, GameDev.World announces week-long public efforts to raise money in support of the GDC Relief Fund and marginalized developers affected by event cancellations. In this case, marginalized means indie in general. That was a question just floating around Twitter. A fundraising event from March 27th to April 3rd in support of the GDC Relief Fund, spearheaded by Wings, featuring a pay-what-you-want games bundle, a public game jam, and free online live talks and Q&A translated in the world's largest languages. That's a fragment of a thought, but it gives you the idea. It goes into some of the problems we talked about created by the postponing, and it says this: to further support that fundraiser, GameDev.World is also organizing a bundle and game jam in collaboration with itch.io, which I love. All submitted games, whether resulting from the jam or from developers that have made their existing games available, will be made available as a pay-what-you-want bundle, with all proceeds going towards the same goals of alleviating the financial burden of the developers most affected by these events. Now that's very cool. I've never had a game included in a bundle before that I can think of, and for a good cause, that would be amazing, right? So I'm planning to get involved in this as much as I can. I don't know if this will get easier in March, but right now to participate in the jam, to be a sponsor, to make a pre-existing game available to the bundle, right now all those people need to contact info@gamedev.world. I'm kind of surprised by that. I'd expect maybe they would get at least like a jam participant form up somewhere, or just set up the jam on itch.io, right? But I'm going to be contacting info@gamedev.world to express interest in participating in the jam, and I will certainly offer up the chance for anyone of their choosing to appear in an episode before then to promote the event and answer any questions if they would care to or they have the time. I've also put out the call on Twitter for any displaced speakers or any developers who are interested, appear on the podcast, talk with listeners. Game Dev Breakdown reaches a list of well over 50 countries and thousands of folks, and I really do believe it's worthwhile, or I just wouldn't waste people's time with it. So as this continues to unfold, I'll keep you up to date. I'll talk to anyone who's working on it in the coming weeks, and that's all I've got about it for you right now. So if you enjoy Game Dev Breakdown, it would be awesome to have you along for the ride. Subscribe wherever you're listening, and feel free to make my day with a rating or a review. We have show notes at CodeWritePlay.com, and indeed, there is a community of creators active at Patreon.com/CodeWritePlay, where we do all kinds of cool stuff, and where there is an exclusive episode available today for patrons. And that's all I'll say about that. So more soon, more guests, more fun. Everybody keep up the good work, keep your chins up, and I will talk to you soon. Later.
Congratulations on your game dev breakdown, whatever that is. Sounds idiotic to me.